In this video, we're going to go over when to use Clay.com's Claygent versus just using regular AI. And so this all comes from the context of running a lot of outbound campaigns. My name is Eric Nowoslawski. I'm the founder of Growth Engine X, and we send anywhere from 4 to 5 million cold emails a month on behalf of our customers. And one question I get all the time from the people that we implement Clay.com for is, when do we use Claygent and when do we use regular AI? And so basically, when you're using regular AI inside of Clay, if you were to put in front of any of your prompts without accessing the internet, do XYZ, that's exactly what you're getting over here. Sometimes when you put into ChatGPT the UI, it'll access the internet, and 4.0 Mini doesn't actually have access to the internet. So basically, the main difference between Claygent and regular AI is Claygent has access to the internet. Regular AI doesn't have access to the internet. Now, I know that there are some models that do have access to the internet, but the cost of running those models that have access to the internet is so much higher than Claygent that I would rather just pay Claygent to be able to do it. And so how does it differ, other than just the web research, right? Because we will use Claygent to access the internet and do live research, and it does a really, really great job of that. But we never, ever, ever use Claygent to output a sentence that we're going to use in an email. And the main reason is because we can't train Claygent on what we want that output to be, so then we feel like we lose control. So we only use Claygent to go do the research, and then we'll often pair Claygent with another AI column. So let's say in this, I'm trying to find the top competitors because I was making another video. So I found these competitors, right? And so then what I can do is I could use another AI to basically transform this data and say, okay, this is why Bonobos is a competitor to GoTileless.com. This being considered, output a sentence about why they're competitive, and I want it to look like this. And maybe I want it to look like, I could see why shoppers compare you to because you both have high quality shirts or something like that. That's what I want it to look like. In Claygent, you don't have this section here, the example section, where you can train it and say, hey, when you see this data and you see this data, this is what I want it to look like. These examples are the thing that make your first lines, your AI generated emails, whatever it is. That's how you stay in control of what you want the output to be, by giving really, really good examples. We have a rule internally that if we're writing a AI generated sentence, just one sentence, it has to have at minimum 2 examples, but I'd really prefer that there's 3 manual examples. And if you're doing anything more complicated than just generating one sentence, it must have 5 to 7 examples, because the examples are so powerful for making sure that you get your output formatted the right way so that you don't send a terrible email. And so really it comes down to AI, the regular one, needs the context because it doesn't have access to the internet. So even here, when I was trying to find competitors, if you ask regular AI, hey, who's the competitor to GoTileless.com? It thinks that GoTileless is some kind of like travel hospitality website or something like that. But when I say, hey, this is the homepage of their website, who are their competitors? Then it nails it. See what I'm doing here? You're tasked with identifying direct competitors for a company based on the provided company description in body text. Here, then it freaking nails all of this, right? But it needed the context first. So for use AI, we'll use this to clean data, to shorten data, to transform data into JSON, to create the final output of what we're actually going to be putting into an email. We use Claygent to go out and do live research for us. Now, the only reason that you'll see, I was trying to find competitors here and competitors here, and you'll actually see there was some good overlap. So Untuckit, Franken-Oak, and Bonobos are absolutely competitors of GoTileless.com. But then also, it said Bonobos here, Land's End, which is pretty good, and then Charles Triwet, which I would say is even better. The reason that both of these could do this, but this one is so much cheaper than this one, right? And so that is another thing to consider, is Claygent is more expensive. So if you don't need it to do some crazy custom research, sometimes pairing regular AI with some other integration that's much cheaper, or some other API that's a lot cheaper to give it the reference point and then make the decision, is a lot better. And then again, that the fact that you can control the examples is such a big impact on the quality of your output here. So Claygent, live research; regular AI, transform data, summarize it, make it longer. make a decision. Another thing, you might be hearing, okay, if I want to check to see if a website and see if they're actually a B2B SaaS company, because I think that they're a B2B SaaS company, I'm going to use Claygent to do that. And I would say that's a bad use case for Claygent, because then one, you should be asking AI to do one thing at a time. And technically, whether it's Claygent or regular AI, one thing at a time, technically you're asking it to go find information about the company and then make a decision. But then it doesn't really have great context for what you consider to be a B2B SaaS company, which then if you use Claygent to go find a description of the company and then put it into AI and train it on 5 different examples of what a B2B SaaS company is, you're going to get a much, much, much better output. So those are some use cases and differences of how we use Claygent versus regular AI.